You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 18th meeting for the Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good afternoon. I'll call this meeting of the Board of Works and Public Safety for Monday, August 18th, 2025 to order. First order of business is a roll call. Mr. Simmons.
Present.
Ms. Tisdale.
Present.
Ms. Smith.
Present.
Ms. Moore.
Present.
Attorney LePage.
Here.
And Mr. York is present. Next order of business is approval of minutes for a regular hybrid Zoom meeting for August 4th, 2025. Has everyone had time to review those minutes? Is there any additions or redactions that need to be made?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business is awarding of the RFQ. This is an awarding of a request for quotes for Walker Street Park Gardens concrete slab. Mr. Mechanic is here today. I got your letter. I'll let you speak a little bit about it though.
Right, good afternoon, Andrew Mechanic, Technology and Facilities. As you know, we solicited 3 quotes for the monolithic slab and sidewalk over at the Walker Street Garden Park project as part of an ARPA project. Received back 3 quotes, one from B&E Concrete LLC for $4,550. Another quote back from NewTek for $15,000, and a third one from Deutscher Construction LLC for $8,500. Reviewed the all the quotes back. B&E Concrete LLC provided the lowest responsible and responsive proposal. We've looked over their work. We're satisfied with the previous jobs that they've done in the area. Everything matched up compared to the other ones, so it was a comparable quote from all 3. So from our perspective, we recommend the B&E Concrete get awarded the contract for this since they are considerably cheaper. They prove that they do decent work as well. And
Any questions of Mr. Mechanic from the board? Any questions of Mr. Mechanic from the board?
Just have a question. When will they start?
Yeah.
it's supposed to be probably within the next 2 weeks or so after this is awarded. And then it'll probably take about a week to do. And then once that's done, then we can go ahead and start with the building being built upon the slab after that, the concrete slab. So probably sometime we should have everything wrapped up end of September, early October, somewhere in there, hopefully. So
Excellent question. Any other questions of Mr. Mechanic? Hearing none, I'll open up for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Going once, going twice. Any public comment? Anything online? Okay, close public comment. Any further questions of Mr. Mechanic, or do I hear a motion to award this contract or this RFQ? Sorry.
Motion to approve.
Here, second.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Mr. Mechanic, and thank you, Amber, as well, for getting the quotes.
thank you.
Okay, our next order of business is the Fire Merit Commission. The results of recent election conducted to select the Democratic appointee to the Fire Merit Commission. Ms. LePage, do I just need to read this?
That's fine.
Tell the
Just
results.
the results is fine. Mhm.
So we had 2 nominees, Marlon Gardner and Jeff Plummer. Marlon Garner received 22 votes, and Mr. Jeff Plummer received 6 votes. So Marlon Garner is our winner of that election. Anything further we need to do with that?
No.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Garner. Okay. Our next order of business is Singing Sands Trails property acquisition. The Michigan City Parks Department is requesting to purchase parcels 28 and 28A from Maple City Ventures for the Singing Sands Trail. Ms. Eason, you have anything you'd like to add or okay. I think we've done this a couple of times. This is a continuation of our Singing Sands Trail, the Marquette Greenway through Michigan City, and this is purchasing of the right of way, the additional right of way that we will need to build the trail on, and this went through the process of procurement to them, and we're here before us today to purchase the property. Any questions of Miss Eason or myself? Okay. I'll open for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Anything online? Okay, hearing none, I'll close public comments. Any additional questions or do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Shannon, for continuing to work on the trail. Next order of business is a request for special purchase. The Planning and Inspections Department is requesting a special purchase of two 2021 Dodge, or well, they're not Dodges, they're Jeep Grand Cherokees, and two 2022 Jeep Renegades, and one 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee that are currently being leased, and buy them out for a total of $101,911.05. So basically, the lease is up on these cars, and we would like the city would like to make them a part of the permanent fleet. You've got the letter. They're taken very, very good care of, and they're low mileage. And to go out and procure these again would be more money than we have allocated for this. And we do have a proof of the finances are available right now. They were budgeted in the last budget cycle. Any questions of that? Amber, anything else I need to add on this?
No.
Okay, I'll open for public comment. Any public comments? Any public comments on this item?
Hello, board. Scott Melland, 200 Kenwood Place. Just a point of clarification, was that 4 or 5 vehicles?
It is actually going to be 5. Sorry, did I say 4? It will be 5 vehicles.
5 vehicles for $100,000 that are all about 3 years old? That's a good deal in today's market, and I suggest that we approve that post haste.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Anything online? Okay, I'll close public comments. Any questions, further questions of me or Attorney LePage on this item? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Next order of excuse me. Next order of business is a request for an event and road closure. The American Legion Post 451 American Legion Riders is requesting the following: to host their annual Labor Days festival on September 6, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. To close Washington Street from Skiat Legion Ave to May Street and Skiat Legion Ave from Franklin Street to Washington Street from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Anyone here to speak on this item? Captain Jesse, have you had time to review this one? Are you aware of this closure? You're good? Yeah.
Also, I think she is online.
Oh.
She said she was going to be joining.
Excellent. Excellent. Lisa, we'll get to you just a second. Actually, Lisa, if you'd like to go ahead and chime in and just tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and then I'll have Captain Jesse give his analysis.
Hi guys, thanks. On Washington Street from Skiat to May, we'd like that one to be from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. all day. On the Franklin side from Franklin Street down Squiat. I would just need that to get riders off safely, and then we would make that a one lane to get cars in and out of our area safely is all we wanted to do for that. We do ask for this. This will be the 5th year we've asked for this road closure for our bikes to get in and out safely while this event happens.
Okay. So basically, Franklin Street would be for bike parking.
Yeah,
That's correct. Okay.
Squiat, Legion Road would be
Got it.
to get bikes in and out safely, and the Washington Street is to get our ride out safely. There'll be a lot of bikes to get out onto the road when our bike takes off, our ride takes off, and again when it comes back.
Excellent. Okay, I understand.
Thank you.
Captain Jesse, have you had time to review this or look it over, and have you participated in this before?
I've not participated in it. Looking at it though, it's just kind of around the post there, so it's not really busy streets in that block, so I have no issues with it.
Okay. I see our director of streets. You're good with this. You can get them. You can get them enough barriers. You do this every year. Okay, great. Thank you. Amber, do they have everything in order?
Yes.
Good. Okay. I'll open it up for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Anything online? Any question? Okay, I'll close public comments. Any further any further comments or questions to Lisa? Or if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I would just say as an FYI, we have changed our board policies and procedures. So next year, we're giving a lot of grace this year for those who don't know. But next year, if you could submit these plans to us as soon as you have the date scheduled, that would be really great.
I think it's
They
90
did actually submit the original intake form 90 days in advance.
Okay. Perfect.
excellent.
I'll make a motion then to approve.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Are we? We're good. So keep going, right? Okay, yeah. Our next order of business is a request for gravel. Patricia Williams at 447 Walker Street is requesting to have gravel put on the side of her property at School Street and Walker Street. Is Miss Williams here? Miss Williams here? Looking for Miss Williams? No? Sean? Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Sean Smith, Mississippi Street Director. We went out and checked the alley out. This asphalt got removed. We're gonna have to go through there and resurface, add roll millings, compact it, and complete it.
For the alley or okay. Does that handle the request her property? I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Tim Werner, city engineer. Basically, what it looks like has happened there is the asphalt in the alley apron from the South Shore tracks going to the north, it grades downhill. The asphalt had eroded away. The water was running around the inlet that's in the asphalt of the alley apron and was running down and eroding out the gravel to the north of that alley apron. So Sean's crews went, regraded the area, got the asphalt back in the alley apron. Now there's just a little bit of a trench left where the gravel was eroding away that he was going to get his guys over there and redress that and get that smoothed out.
Okay.
So now that the asphalt pavement is back in the alley, there should be a lot less erosion as the water's going into the inlet now instead of washing past it.
Okay. So is your recommendation to keep this on until we have a report back when it's done?
long as you want to report back to him in the next meeting, yeah, he'll have it done tomorrow. So, I mean, he can report at the next Board of Works that it's completed.
I do know when I look this up, they do have a gravel, like on the easement, it is gravelled for them to park their cars. And I think Wendy has, I know I've talked to her about this before, about not doing gravel, or she had mentioned something of it. Wendy, do you mind talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, this is damage caused by us not maintaining the alley apron and then letting the water erode down. But if it was requesting new gravel, we wouldn't do it. But since it's a washout from the work that was done at the South Shore tracks as well as this inlet in the alley apron, we're gonna have that regraded and just cleaned up but we wouldn't be providing new gravel. It's just dragging all the gravel that's washed back down the hill back up to fill it in. And now
Got
the
it.
water's gonna be taken by the inlet, that erosion will
I got it.
decrease.
I understand. Okay.
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 We're
Yes.
not placing new gravel, we're just bringing it back up the
Fixing
hill.
what's
Yeah,
there.
what's
Got
there.
you. I got you. That makes more sense. Okay. So do we want to keep this on our agenda? Let me open it up for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item?
Hello, Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place. I would say it's been taken care of and just give it a check mark.
Any public comment?
I trust them that they're going to finish it tomorrow, and it sounds like we're resolving the root of the problem in any case. And it's good to resolve who is responsible for gravel in these easement parking places too, because that's probably things that people don't know. That if you've got one of those gravel parking places in your easement, it's the property owner's responsibility to maintain. This is an exception because of erosion caused by a defect that we're responsible for. But it's not, check it off, check it off. Let's not hear about these things over.
Any other public comment? Any other public comments? Okay, I'm gonna close public comments. It's a pleasure to the board. I say we check it off.
Motion to approve.
So motion to approve. All right, support. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay. Our next order of business is a request to use city easement. Ms. Terry Brown King of 336 North Carroll Ave is requesting to plant flowers on the city easement in front of her home. Is Miss King here? Come up front, Miss King. How are you doing? Tell us what you want to do. Introduce yourself, tell us where you live, and tell us what you want to do.
In city council. Thank you so much. I'm not used to.
You're okay. Take your time. You're okay. Take your time.
Well, I like to help beautify the city. I would like to use the easement in front of my home because it brings smiles. I I noticed from the way I have flowers around the house, and when people look at me, it's a big smile on their face, and they be stopping like they're in a parade, blowing their horns. So it makes people feel good. They have beautification around their home.
Can you do me
Extended.
Can you do me one favor, just for the record? State your name and address.
Oh, my name is Mrs. Terry Brown King, and I live at 336 North Carroll.
Excellent. Okay, so you want to use the planting strip in between, I'm assuming it's between the sidewalk and the road?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure we all understand what you're asking for. Any questions of Miss King? And then I guess my question is, what kind of things are you planting in this right of way? Because I think we do have rules about, I'm looking at Engineer Warner. I do know that we have rules about the plantings now. I do believe they're enacted. Can you tell her a little bit about, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get you up here. Can you tell her a little bit about what our rules are?
Hi, Tim Werner, city engineer. The limitation on growth of the plants that are planted in the parkway is 36 inches maximum height and growth. If it's a tree, it has to be trimmed carefully as the trees are growing. If there's an intersection nearby, it has to be 80 inches high where the branches first start once the tree grows out. But you're talking about just planting flowers. So as long as your flowers are less than 36 inches in height, the city is fine with that.
Well, I'd like to know also, I have a small tree. It's like a Japanese maple tree. It doesn't grow that tall, like 2 feet.
It would be the sight line for intersecting streets. So if you have like an intersecting street close by, you need to make, okay.
Yeah,
So
they may not, you may want to check with our city forester. They may not let you put Japanese maple. They're not allowed in our, I don't think they're allowed in our right of way because they're not a native tree.
not a native, only native trees in the right of way.
You can have it on your property. I just don't
Yeah.
think they'll let you put it in the right of way.
Okay, and when I did research and found out a lot of Indiana native plants, the black-eyed Susan, the wild geraniums, purple coneflowers, yarrows, and it's a little bush that's called the 9-bark bush. Also the sedum, which is also called a stone crop, and marigold flowers. I just wanted to just put a lot of color.
That's fair enough. Just again, don't let them get over 36 inches. Those seem like pretty small flowers. Any questions for Ms. King from the board? Any questions to Ms. King from the board? I'm gonna open for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item?
Ernie Hallahan, 302 Gladys Street. If I'm not mistaken, the city council went over this one numerous times. And they did pass an ordinance on it, so you'd have to pull that ordinance up to see what is permitted and what isn't.
That's why I asked Mr. Warner to come up here.
Yeah, because Paul Preblinski had a big issue with it
Yes, I know.
quite some time ago. Just wanted to make you aware of it.
Any other public comments?
Well, again, Scott Mellon, Turin Kenwood Place. I think it's lovely that this lovely lady is here asking for permission, but I also think it's kind of sad that it's come to the point where to plant flowers, you have to come before a city board to plant flowers in the easement. Now, I know we struggle to define common sense, and what you could do on a middle of a block away from an intersection is different than what you can do on a corner or something like that. It's hard to define that. But there's a lot of lovely plantings. Hollyhocks put up spikes, but they're only as thick as my 2 fingers. Sunflowers are beautiful, but clearly those are over 36 inches and they make people smile. So I certainly think you should approve this, of course. And I think we really need to think about overregulation. And I don't know how you define common sense, but laws maybe aren't the right way. I think we all struggle with this, but I think, of course, we should approve this lady's request. Sounds like she's planting a lovely garden.
Any other public comments?
Yes, Tommy Kalavi, 13 Ohio Street. The only small problem I have with this is, what if the people plant all these flowers and all the things in the easement and between the sidewalk and the curb, and they decide to sell the house and move away, or the people pass away. The new owner, whoever takes over the house, is going to be. I had the same situation. We bought a house at 301 Tryon Street over in the Eastport neighborhood for my niece. The man who owned it, he put like railroad ties in the right of way, and vector control can't mow around those and whatnot. They were all termite infested and rotted. I had to rip all those out by hand, and I had to get them all disposed of. And it's the only issue I have with that. Just to let you know that is issue.
Any other public comments? I'm gonna ask Miss LePage a question here in a minute. Any other public comments? Okay, I'll close public comments. Amber, to your knowledge, is this do you know if this is, I'm pretty sure it's consistent with the ordinance, right? It can't be over 36 inches. I'm pretty positive.
I do believe so, but
Okay.
but I would hate for all these requests to come here. So I'm thinking that maybe we streamline it and maybe refer it to the planning department and engineering department so that they could do some kind of permitting or tracking of it. So it's not burdening this board.
That's kind of why I was asking you the question.
Yeah. So I think it just begs how we do this better in the future.
Yeah, probably not the best of ways to do it. Okay. Beside the point. Any other questions of Ms. King? You've heard what she's presented to us. She's been told the rules, no over 36 inches. Any other questions of Ms. King?
I was going to say, no question, but a comment for not doing this. You did it very well.
I have a comment too. Your house is very awesome to look at. I drove by and it's pretty. It's very pretty.
It's very nice. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons? Aye. Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. Okay. Next order of business is a request for road closure for special event. High Praise Ministries is requesting to host their annual community picnic on Sunday, August 31st from 2025. I'm sorry, August 31st, 2025 from 12 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and to close part of the alleyway between Cedar Street and Spring Street for event goers to cross safely during the event. Is there anyone here from High Praise Ministries? Anyone here? Anyone online from High Praise Ministries? I do know that this is something they do a lot every year. I used to live down in that area, and I know that they were doing it when I lived down there. Captain Jesse, are you aware of this event? You've been involved in it, or Sean? No? Okay. Captain Jesse, have you had time to review this? I think what they're doing is closing half the alley, a piece of the alley, and directly behind the church, to allow them to tote things in and out of the church, because I think the church is like right on the alley.
Yeah, I think they were doing parking and all I know about it is reading the request that's put out. Just the alleyway, so I think they're parking on the other side of it, so I'm fine with it on our end.
Okay. Amber, is everything in order for this one?
Yes.
Okay, they've submitted everything. You good? Okay. I'll open it for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'll close public comments. Any further questions? I have seen them do this before. Like I said, I used to live down there on Cedar Street, so I know they used to do this. They used to have a revival back there, so I know that this has been done before. They used to have revivals right behind that church. It's that big grassed area on 10th Street in Spring. So I do know it's been done before, and I have seen that alley closed like they're proposing. So I'll make a motion that we approve this request for the alley closure for High Praise Ministries on August 31st, 2025 from 12 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. To allow them to have this their community picnic.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well. All righty. Moving on. Okay. Next order of business is the payroll claims docket. This is the payroll for August 8th, 2025. Has everyone had time to review that? And if so, do I hear a vote?
Motion to approve.
Hear a second?
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next order of business is a claims docket for August 18th, 2025. Has everyone had time to review that? If so, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, on to our unfinished business. Today we have unfinished business proposal for, unfinished business, excuse me, let me back up. Been a long day. Unfinished business is a proposal. This is approval of a proposal to repave City Hall parking lot in the amount not to exceed $44,240.00. This is tabled from our July 21st, 2025 meeting. Mr. Warner, go ahead, take it away.
City Engineer Tim Warner, at the meeting, it was discussed that we needed to probably get another proposal, so I went out and requested another proposal for paving the south parking lot. That was from Northwest Indiana Asphalt. They provided their proposal for paving the parking lot as $34,850. So what was requested at $44,000, we're saving $10,000 with Northwest Indiana Asphalt.
Awesome.
So I recommend accepting the proposal of Northwest Indiana Asphalt and moving forward with the project.
You're pleased with their work and things of that nature?
The
You're good?
sanitary district had them do a patch on White Oak, south of Greenwood this past spring, and it looks great.
Awesome.
Sanitary district, very happy with their work. They were quick, they were clean, and yeah, they were happy with it. So I thought we'd try them out here with the city hall,
Excellent.
give them a little bigger project.
Amber, I'm sorry, Attorney LePage, have you had time to review this? You're
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions of Engineer Warner?
Can I ask why this is coming up now? What is the issue with the parking lot?
Well, the asphalt on both the north, south and driveways are pretty well alligated and reaching its service life. So there was something that the mayor wanted to try to take care of, at least the south part first for the public parks. So we'll work on the north lot maybe next year.
And this includes striping?
This includes pavement markings, yes.
Does it include any flat work? Curious.
No, we're not doing any
No
concrete work.
concrete work,
This is
just straight
milling the asphalt,
milling.
putting it back out and marking the handicap spaces and the regular parking spaces like it exists.
Okay. Yeah, they're a little faded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't see any.
Yeah, they're especially when it's raining or wet, you can't see them or snow or a little bit of snow on the ground. Any further questions of Engineer Warner? If not, I'll open it up for public comment. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Are you waving? Oh, she was waving. Oh, sorry. Any public comment on this? Okay. Any public comment on this item? Anything online? Okay. Close public comments. Any further questions of of Engineer Warner, or do I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you for getting these together. And
Thank you very much.
Oh.
okay, our next order of business is another, we're still on the tabled, continued list. A request for a trash receptacle and sign repair. Councilman Don Prajbalinski is requesting the following items: installation of a trash receptacle at City Bus Stop at northeast corner of Barker and Franklin Street. Reconstruction of the stop sign guardrail triangle at the corner of Chicago Street and 10th Street and Kentucky Street. Is there anyone here to speak on these items? Absolutely. Thought I would give Engineer Warner a break. Good afternoon, Mr. Smith.
Good afternoon. The trash receptacle at the bus stop, that's installed. The reconstruction of the stop sign guardrail, I spoke with Mr. Warner. I actually want to remove that. I mean, it's a 6-foot guardrail. We want to remove it, pave it, and stripe it.
Oh, so to make it like okay. Then there's nothing in the triangle. It's just literally a blockade of some sort.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Seems like a reasonable solution. Okay. Any questions of Mr. Smith?
How long before you get the?
To next board work meeting. Yeah.
So to our first meeting in September, which would be, what is that date? Second. So it'll be the 2nd of September. So you've heard Director Smith. Any questions of Director? Any questions? Okay. That seems like a good solution, I think. Seems reasonable. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Okay, I'll close public comment. So the only thing we need to hold over is just the triangle. It seems like the bus stop that's got a solution. Yeah. So we just need to hold over the reconstruction, or actually just the solution that was just permitted or just proposed to us for the September 2nd meeting. Is there a motion to that effect?
I make a motion to remove the trash receptacle off of our pending items list and carry over the guardrail to our September 2nd meeting.
Second.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. It's a good solution. Thank you. Next order of business is awarding a bid. This is awarding of a bid for the demolition of 901 Manhattan Street. This was tabled from our July 7th, 2025 meeting. Attorney LePage, would you like to take this one?
Sure, just to update you. So at the last meeting, I had asked for it to be tabled because we had just learned the property was in bankruptcy. I reached out to the bankruptcy trustee. They returned the phone call. The trustee plans on abandoning several properties, including 901 Manhattan Street. The order is not in yet, formally abandoning the properties. Why I would like the board to wait for the order to abandon before awarding is under the federal statute. While I believe under our police powers and public health and safety, we could go forward and demo, I specifically cannot lien a property. And I lien properties to recoup the money the city paid for the demo. So it's kind of a catch-22 here. I'm hoping that I would have the order abandoning it for the next meeting, but that would be my recommendation right now.
I think that's a good recommendation so that we can recoup, at least try to recoup our money. Any questions of Attorney LePage? I'll open it for public comment. Any public comment on this item?
Tommy Kalavic, 16 Ohio Street. Can we get the owners of this property to potentially quit claim deed the property over the Gary Archdiocese, which is the parent company of Marquette High School? I know they want all that property that's so west of their campus. They want to put soccer fields in there. And I think that'd be great if we could go watch high school soccer games and they can host tournaments and whatnot. Couldn't that be a possibility we can do for them? I know it's not a question and answer, but that's what I'd like to see done. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Any other public comments on this item? Any other public comments? Anything online? Okay, I'm gonna close public comments. Any other further questions of Attorney LePage, or would anyone like to make a motion? If we did motion to hold this over, is September 2nd enough?
I would say that meeting and I can update you. Hopefully it will be enough. I can't guarantee it though.
That's okay.
I make a motion to table until the first meeting in September.
Second.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay. Next order of business is public comment. Any public comment?
I'll go first. Tommy Kalavic, 1316 Ohio Street. First, I'm really glad that you pulled the Prime House director, the company out of Georgia, the frozen meat truck. We don't need those coming here. If they're going to have those, you need to have those outside city limits. There's all kinds of they sell basically rotten meat. And they say 20 ribeyes for $1. Well, the ribeyes I sell like paper thin when they grill them. They like shrivel up on the grill. And it's just kind of a big scam. We don't need it, especially by Meyer and GFS, and they don't sell meat like that. So just don't never bring those here. The traveling food people were mad because they had to cancel the Cousin Maine Lobster. They're going to be at Ronnie's. Well, they didn't come and get their mobile food vendor permit. I'd like to talk about vacant structures, if I may. This is a statute that I want to read to you. This goes back to when we were dealing with the ice cream parlor fiasco. This is something that our previous city attorney, Mr. John Esper Esquire, read at a Board of Works meeting. When you read this, I thought it'd be a very powerful piece of legislation. It really stuck and resonated with me. And when I read this, I hope it sticks and resonates with you too. What this is, it's Indiana Code 36-7-9 4.5, local government. In Indiana, especially in urban areas, there exists a large number of unoccupied structures that are not maintained and constitute a hazard to public health, safety, and welfare. Vacant structures often become dilapidated because the structures are not maintained and repaired by the owners or the persons who are in control of the structures. Vacant structures attract children, become harborage for vermin, serve as temporary abodes for vagrants and criminals, and are likely to be damaged by vandals or set ablaze by arsonists. Unkept grounds surrounding vacant structures invite dumping of garbage, trash, and other debris. Many vacant structures are situated on narrow city lots in close proximity to neighboring structures, thereby increasing the risk of conflagration and the spread of insect and rodent infestation. Vacant interior structures contribute to blight, cause a decrease in property values, and discourage from neighbors making improvements to their properties. Structures that remain boarded up for an extended period of time also exert a blighting influence and contribute to the decline of the neighborhood, decrease in property values, discouraging persons from moving into the neighborhood, and encourage persons to move out of the neighborhood. Vacant structures often contribute to deteriorate to the point where demolition of the structure is required, decreasing the available of housing in a community, and further contributing to the decline of the neighborhood. Vacant, deteriorated structures contribute to blight, cause a decrease in property values, and discourage neighbors for properties. Let's see. I think I went ahead of myself.
Hey, Tommy, can you pick a stopping point, please?
That's it. Thank you.
We get the point. I think we got it. We got it. Thank you, Tommy.
Callahan, 302 Gladys Street. Here a while back, I called the Vector Control's office in regard to down my alley. My alley sits between Gladys and Emma. And they came and cleaned out behind one house on Emma real well. But at the very end, where you go in off of Broadway, it is totally overgrown and hanging out in the alley. And my wife and I just bought a fairly decent car, and she has to go down that alley to get to the garage. I used to go down there and trim that myself, but unfortunately, with my injuries, I can't do it anymore. If I could get Vector Control back out there to clean that. There's a telephone line going over to the house on Broadway, and the weeds are growing over the telephone line. And then all the other stuff is hanging over the other fence into the alley. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Warner's taking notes. I can see him writing the stuff down. Yeah.
He just likes to doodle. Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place. Couple things really quickly. Does anybody know who operates that garbage can sitting next to City Hall on the other side of the street next to the Sola thing, the one that sits in the parking spaces, big green commercial garbage can, just 50 feet there? Who's paying the bill for it? Why is it there? It needs to go. There are no structures there. There should not be a garbage can taking up our street. Do we have a schedule for street closings, a fee schedule for street closings of any type? Well, I think we should. If there's going to be city services required, if it has to come before a board and go before a meeting, there should be some fee. It could be graduated for small ministries like the one that came before us earlier today. Maybe it's $50 or $100. But if it's for something, say like, well, not Oktoberfest, but a beer festival or something serving alcohol, maybe it's a little more substantial. But city's trying to raise revenue, and if it's taking city services to do special things, it's a give and take. We've passed a lot of new ordinances recently in this town. Garbage, one of the biggest ones, refuse ordinances. We don't know how much garbage is devoted to the city's time. But have we had any follow-up with code enforcement or the police or whoever, because we do get some of this about who's enforcing codes? Have we gotten those apartment complexes off of our garbage service? Or are we still spending half an hour cleaning up St. Mary's Apartments or whatever that is? Our commercial customers commercial customers at all, why are we still throwing away their garbage? Why do they have more than 3 things? I know restaurants that still have 5 city cans. So why are we passing laws and raising fees on the citizens if we're not going to comply with, if we're not going to get some enforcement action? We're 8 months into this year. 6 months warning is plenty. It's time to get some results. We have a lot of city employees driving a lot of city vehicles down a lot of city streets every single day. And there needs to be some internal communication, an intranet or a message board or a Slack channel or something, where a city employee who is being paid by we the citizens says, hey, there's a pile of garbage that's got dumped behind this garbage, behind a venue trying to have a wedding event. And They had to call, this happened last week. One of our breweries, I think it might have been Zorn, I believe it was Zorn, was having a wedding, had rented out there outside for a wedding. They had to call an exterminator because there was a horrible fly problem. Turns out the fly problem was from the dumping that had happened in the alley behind them from another residence. Nobody noticed? So, okay, 8 months. And speaking of boarded up buildings and blight, we have a very prominent building on our main drag at the corner of Franklin and Earl that's been boarded up for, we're pushing 20 years now that it's been a fire and a boarded up. Why can't we get some action on that prominent lot with a prominent building? Because even when people are paying their taxes and mowing their lawn, there's still a way to put some pressure on them for change. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Anything online? Anyone online? Anything online? Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Going once, going twice. All right, I'll close public comments. Any board comments? Any board comments? We still got one more item to deal with. So, any board comments? Okay. Attorney LePage, should we move right into public hearing?
Yes, unless anybody needs a.
Does anyone need a break?
break.
You want to go right into it? Yep, got it. Yep, got it. All right, our next order of business is a public hearing. This is a demolition hearing this is a public hearing on order to demolish unsafe building at 1605 Franklin Street in Michigan City, Indiana. Is there anyone here to speak on this item?
Good afternoon, DeMarcus Briscoe, Code Enforcement Manager. So the reason we're here with this is because of on July 9th, 2025.
Real quick.
I'm
Hold
sorry.
on 1 second.
Hold
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Yeah, attorney,
So if who's ever here to testify on this proceeding, can you please come down to the front?
Yeah. anyone that would like to speak, you're gonna need to come down here, and if you offer any testimony or anything.
Okay, so let's see, I believe, so the city team will be down here. And then are you can you just come up to the microphone and identify yourself?
So I'm Warner Graff. I'm the owner of 1605.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let me just set the record here real quick. All right, so we're here today for an order to demolish that was issued by the planning department on or about July 9th, 2025 to I believe it's Graff Dairy LLC and Warner Graff II regarding property at 1605 Franklin Street in Michigan City, Indiana. The petitioner for this cause of action is the Michigan City Planning Department, and the respondent then is Mr. Graff as well. So what I'd like to do is just set the groundwork for the hearing today, and then after I set that groundwork, we'll begin. Since the city is the petitioner, the city will go first and present any evidence they would have to this board. Thereafter, then the respondent would be given the opportunity to present any rebuttal evidence that he may have. Each witness called by the parties must clearly state their name for the record. No talking over any of the witnesses, and after a witness is done testifying, the other party may cross-examine. After all evidence is presented, both parties can present any final closing statements. This board is vested with the authority to either affirm the demolition order, rescind the demolition order, or modify the order in only a manner that makes it less stringent, but only if the person to whom the order was issued is present. The board may render its decision today or take it under advisement and render a decision at a future meeting. If the board does render it, the board will issue specific findings of fact relative to its decision and reduce it to writing. It shall be deemed a final order. So anyone who is planning on testifying here today, can you please stand and raise your right hand and come down to the front? Okay. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Please have a seat. So I'm going to turn this over. I believe Deputy Attorney Ryan Beal will be assisting Mr. Briscoe on this. So I'll turn this over.
DeMarcus, if you'd like to go up to the podium. DeMarcus, could you state your name for the record?
DeMarcus Briscoe.
And what is your position with the city of Michigan City?
I'm the manager of code enforcement.
How long have you been the manager for?
A little over 2 months now.
And how long have you been with the city?
Almost 2 years in October.
Okay. So we'll cut to the chase. You issued a demolition order regarding the property at 1605 Franklin Street on July 9th, 2025 of this year, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what led you to this property and what led you to the decision to issue an order to demolish?
What led me to the property is the key findings that I went out, basic code enforcement job when I went out and inspected the property. And of course, the hearing and seeing a lot of people talk about it. And what led me to that is just the building collapsed, the roof collapsed. So again, that right there leads us to the unsafe building law. And from an investigation, what I came up with is structurally impaired and unsafe for anybody at the property. It's a fire hazard. It's a hazard to public health. And as Mr. Kolovic stated earlier today, vacant and blight to the community and the prominent road that we have on Franklin Street.
Okay. So did you receive a complaint that drew your attention to the property? Okay.
We did.
You went out to the property, you inspected it. Any other city employees involved in the decision or in the inspection process?
It was me and my predecessor before me, Christine Vanderborg. That was that. And then also we had building commissioner also, such as Tim Warner also. And
so you've spoken to the building commissioner, you spoke to the city engineer, and they agreed with your decision to issue this order to demolish?
Right.
Okay. So the roof is collapsed on this building. Who owns the property?
Mr. Warner Graff right here.
So it's in the LLC, the Graff Dairy LLC, correct?
Correct.
And they purchased it around August 16th of 2022.
Correct.
So they've owned it for just over 3 years.
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been familiar with the property?
Before I took this job, I've known about this property for a while. And then, of course, when I took this position in this job, I heard about it a lot more and what happened with the property.
So Mr. Graff has owned this property for over 3 years. Have there been any improvements to the property in the last 3 years?
No, sir, not that I know of.
Okay. Before you issued this order to demolish, had you had any interaction with Mr. Graff?
No, sir, I haven't personally.
He's never approached you with any type of plans to rehabilitate this property?
No, sir.
Okay. It was only after the order to demolish was issued?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you issued the order, you served it on all parties by certified mail, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you provide the board today with an affidavit of service as to how the parties were served?
Yes, sir.
All right. And did this order give the owner until today's date to demolish the property? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And under Indiana unsafe building law, which the city has incorporated in their ordinance, you have the authority to make a decision to issue this order to have this structure removed, correct?
Yes, sir.
And has the structure been removed?
No, it has not.
Okay. And is it still your opinion today that the structure should be demolished?
Yes, sir.
And that's based upon the potential public safety hazards that it poses?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you, Mr. Briscoe, as we talked last week, if I went to this property, could I get inside of it?
I believe you can through the rear entrance of it.
Okay, so the property is not secure, is that correct?
No, sir.
And the ceiling's collapsed and the first floor is collapsed down to the basement too,
Yes, sir.
correct? All right. That's all the questions I have for Mr. Briscoe.
Mr. Graff, do you have any questions? Can you come to the
Mr.
mic?
Graff.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm
Marcus, don't go too far away. Okay.
okay. So I came here with a different intention, and the intention was to talk about the merits of the building and certainly not be confrontational with the inspection department. I've worked with him over the course of the last 3 years. But what I just heard here were some blatant mendacities.
So, sir, do you have any questions? This is just questions. And
Well,
you can
okay,
present.
so I'll ask DeMarcus questions. DeMarcus, when we applied for the extension of the demo permit, which was issued to us last year, for which I've spent $60,000 in cleanup, and I called you and said, is there a problem in getting the demo permit extended? Your response to me on the phone was, no, it should be done within a couple of days if you submit it. Do you have a different opinion of our conversation than the one that I just explained?
So when we first talked about the extension of the demo, you said that you had presented it to my predecessor, which I knew nothing about because I wasn't in that position. And I was just going off of you filling out a permit for a demolition.
Fair enough. Okay. So it was an extension of a clean out demolition permit that I asked to be extended, and you said, and then I said, I've got a demolition order on it, and you said, I'm just doing what I was told. Do you remember that conversation? There was no comment from you saying that you inspected the building whatsoever prior to my call to the city saying that I got a demo permit, what's going on? We're supposed to have an extension on the clean out demolition permit. Now, the other question I would ask, you just testified.
So again,
I'm
what
gonna
was
ask
your-
the question. If you don't mind, I'll ask it right now, but I have to set the context or the question doesn't make sense, right? So the question I have is, you just told these folks after raising our hand that you were going to be completely honest, and you said you had no knowledge of any work being done to this property. And you know that I had a clean out demolition permit all of last year, and I spent $50,000 cleaning the back of that property out. Because you didn't question the fact that I had a demo permit, because you said, yeah, it'll just take a couple days to get resolved. All right, so this, I wasn't going to come here, Wendy, and talk like this, but my gosh, I mean, this is completely contrary to what's happened in reality.
Mr. Graff, you're absolutely welcome to present that in your case, but if you have a question, no.
So I have the other question. You said the building's unsecure. Did you go inside the building? It's a question, please.
No, I did not go inside the building, but you can enter the building.
With a screwdriver, if you took the.
But you can, because it's not boarded up. Like we have in our ordinance, it has to be boarded up for a vacant property.
Okay, so I'll have folks testify that the property is secure. We had to break open the locks to get the structural engineer inside the building. All right. Now, the other thing that I'll ask, if your testimony is that you didn't go inside the building, but you inspected it, how did you inspect the building without going inside?
Simply just by walking around like I do with any vacant property, walking around and doing my assessment off of that.
And you testified that the roof had fallen in, and that's why you're condemning it.
I didn't.
That's why the demolition order was issued by you. You weren't told to issue the demolition order. Did you know that Christine had paperwork for the extension of the demo?
So can we pick you up on the microphone? I'm sorry, everything's being recorded.
So again, Christine was my predecessor, and I was not privy to none of that information.
Even after I told you. And I was trying to get I was wondering why the extension of the permit wasn't forthcoming. Okay, so you went around the building and you looked inside and the roof fell in, and you just testified that the roof fell into the building. Do you know when the roof fell in?
No, I do not, but I do have people from the city, building commissioner and such, that can testify to that.
Okay. So, and the point is the roof didn't just fall in, and I'll talk about that later on when I make a presentation. So it's, but let's set the right context for folks. The roof did not fall in under my watch. It's not a recent thing. All right. And so it's not something like this just happened and you guys made a inspection. Do you have any knowledge that Sue and Chris inspected the building within a month of me buying it in 2022?
Again, Christine is no longer here, so I will not speak for Sue Downs. If that's okay, Sue.
I was asking for your knowledge.
Can speak to that.
Yeah. Do you have any knowledge that they did that?
No, I don't, because that predates me.
Okay. So just to clarify then, when you talk with certainty that there's been no activity with the city and no work from me to explain to the city the condition of the building, That's your impression, but it's not reality because you don't know of these things, right?
So again, I am going off of when I took over the Department of Code Enforcement. Anything that was done 5, 10, 15 years ago, I have no knowledge of that.
For the last 3 years, no knowledge. Thank you.
But to be specific though, Mr. Bill asked improvements, and that's a very different subject than activity going on. And improvement is a very specific thing. No, I just want to clarify.
Do you have your next witness?
Sue Downs? Sue, and if you could just state your name and identify yourself.
Hey, Sue Downs, Inspection Department.
And you're familiar with the property at 1605 Franklin Street?
I am.
And what would you like to tell the board tonight?
Well, a couple of things that I've noticed just in this little bit of time here. The dispute, the disagreement over when the demolition permit would have been extended or not extended is completely wrong. So I do have dates if you're interested in them. On May 27th, wait a minute. Oh, gotta find it here. I warned Mr. Graff in March that his demolition permit was going to expire.
Is that March of this year?
What
March
year?
of this year.
Okay.
Okay.
His contractor did not have workers' comp. He tried to apply, did not have workers' comp, which is a requirement. This is a demolition. It's a very dangerous thing. He did not get his workers' comp insurance until March. Once he got his workers' comp insurance, he was instructed to register in Cloud Permit. He did not complete that registration until April 28th. Then, once he got registered in Cloud Permit, what he has to do is put an application in. I find it difficult to believe that all this, I can document this. I can go up to Cloud Permit and print it out. The demolition order was issued on July 9th. His application was submitted on July 16th, 7 days after the demolition order. I don't say he had it in his hand. I'm not saying he had it in his hand, but the application for the demolition, for the renewal of it, was not until 7 days after the order was issued. I guess if you're asking me what else I'd like to say, June 2023, the building was broken into. Okay, documented. It was broken into on June 2023. On August 29th, there was a fire on site. Okay, once again, as Mr. Klovic said, it's an attractive nuisance. Again, on May 19th of this year, it was broken in again. Okay, so that's three things I'd like to say. I will say this in his defense, he responded immediately when I contacted him and said, hey, it's been broken into again. Hey, there's a fire. He did respond immediately, but here's 3 examples of exactly what he was saying. So I want to make sure and point that out, that it's not secure and it is a danger to the public and it needs to be resolved. My first interaction with Mr. Graff was on around Thanksgiving time of November 2022. When he had gotten a couple of dumpsters and was doing work there, no permits. And of course, we stopped him because the people working there were, I don't know where they came from or what I do know I was told it was a couple of homeless guys. I don't know. That's what I was told. Can't verify that one way or another. But there was no insurance. There was nothing to protect them whatsoever. They were taking debris out of this building, put in a dumpster. Once again, in fairness to Mr. Graff, he did stop immediately when I say, hey, hold on. You don't have permits for this. You don't have a permit to put a dumpster on city property right in front of the building, taking up parking spaces and all that sort of stuff. So he did stop immediately whenever I asked him to stop. He did do that. But from that time on, well, I've already given you the things I'd like to say. It's been broken into and it has sustained a fire.
Do you agree with Mr. Briscoe that the property should be demolished?
That's hard to say. I don't want to see it demolished. But it's an attractive nuisance. It's a danger to the public. My first time of walking up to that building, when yes, I did inspect it within a month of him purchasing it, I opened the door, I stepped inside, and realized there was no floor. Okay, had I taken a second step, I'd have been in the basement. Okay, because there is no floor. I could stand outside, look inside and go, wow, there's the bar down there in the basement. It's a danger. When the fire happened, I realized, Fire Marshal Jeff, I realized the team is well trained not to rush into a building. But when the fire happened, my concern is, what if a fireman had rushed in and there is no floor? Okay, what if they felt like there's a danger and there could have been somebody in there? I don't want somebody hurt. Do I want it demolished? No, I don't want it demolished. But do I want it? If that's what it takes, that's what it takes for public safety. Does that kind of answer it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Downs, don't go anywhere. Any other questions for
No, I don't. Thank you.
Mr. Graff? Do you have questions? Ms. Downs, don't go anywhere. Okay.
Oh, my. Ms. Downs, are you aware that according to Fernando, that he gave the physical paperwork, not in the system, not in the new system, but he gave the physical paperwork to Chris in March to extend the clean out demolition permit that we had?
So you're gonna have to get to
See, are you aware is the only thing I'm asking.
See,
get on the microphone.
yeah, come up here.
No, I was not aware that he had given it to Christine. I think at that point they were already downstairs and we were upstairs, so I was not aware of that.
You said I was in the building within, and I was in the building within a month, cleaning it out. The homeless guy that she's talking about was doing lawns in Edgewood, did my mom's lawn. He wanted work. I said, I'm cleaning a building out. If you want to come, join me, let's do it. Were we doing any construction or demolition during that time, as far as you know?
No, the concern is not construction or demo. I mean, you were cleaning out the building. It's the danger for the person doing the clean out. That was my concern.
So the reason we didn't have permits and the reason I didn't have contractors is because I was taking debris out of the building and filling dumpsters in the front. I filled 3 dumpsters. I filled 120,000 pounds of debris, which means that I could walk over the floor to get that debris out there. So Sue's recollection of the floor being unstable at that point is a little overstated. The floor is unstable.
So
But
again,
where
do
we-
you have questions?
Okay, so the question is that, did I need a permit? And by the way, one of them was a contractor, but do I need a permit for moving debris inside a property I own to outside of the property that I own?
Yes, actually, an interior demolition permit is required.
It's not.
And a permit is required to put a dumpster on city property. So there should have been 2 permits.
Yep. It's a good clarification. When Sue alerted me that I needed, the 2 parking spots are in front of the building. I'm new at this. I felt that the parking spots were meant for the building, and so I put a dumpster there and I cleaned the building out. There was no demolition. There was debris. The building had been abandoned for years, and I'll get to that in the presentation that I make. But there was no unsafe floors. There was, we worked in there for probably 40 days before Sue even
So
came over to see.
any other questions for Sue?
You're not aware, are you absolutely positive that Mr. Patino doesn't have comp insurance and it wasn't qualified to work in the city?
He did get the workers' comp insurance on March 20th of this year.
So before our permit expired?
Yes, but he did not apply until July 16th.
So is it a fair, and I'll ask this to DeMarcus also if it's all right, but is it a fair, based on both of what you guys just told me, is it fair to dispel the comment that you made, DeMarcus, that there's no activity on the building, no
So
work?
who's the witness right now, not DeMarcus? So if you can direct the question to Sue.
So Sue, would you agree with DeMarcus's opinion that there's been no activity at the building for 3 years?
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say I have seen none. I have personally not seen any activity there. None.
Okay. Any other witnesses on behalf of the city?
Jeff Reeder. Jeff, if you can identify yourself and your position with the city.
Yep, Jeffrey Bruder. I'm the fire marshal for the city of Michigan City.
And are you familiar with the property at 1605 Franklin Street?
I am.
And what can you tell us today about that?
I'm here to clarify and testify that there was actual structure fire at that property on the 28th of August in 23.
Okay. Have you been inside the property?
That day I was.
Okay. And what can you tell us about the
Um,
interior?
Yep, so the actual fire started on the outside of the building, worked its way to the inside, which made it difficult for us to fight that fire because there was no floor in that building. I believe there are floor joists in the building, but there's no way to use that floor per se to fight that fire.
Have you been back to the property since that time?
Recently after the fire, just for investigation purposes, but not in the property, by the property, yes, but not in the property itself.
Okay. Do you have an opinion on whether the property should be demolished, or is it something that could be rehabilitated?
In the eyes of public safety, if nobody likes to tear down buildings, we've said this before, we've had these hearings before, no one likes to tear down a building. Nobody wants to see an old building come down and be a parking lot there. But in the eyes of the public safety, in that focus, I think it needs to come down.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Mr. Graff, do you have any questions for Mr. Bruder?
When you were inside the building, what were the beams made out of that you witnessed?
The floor joists that I recognized were made of wood.
And do you have any structural engineering expertise at all?
I do not.
If the board will concede, I won't ask DeMarcus and Sue, but I'd like to ask them if they have any structural engineering expertise. I imagine the answer is the same. All right. May I make one more question? Sue said the building had been broken in 3 times. Do you know how many times I've called the police to shoo homeless away from not only that building, but the dairy next door? No, don't have any idea.
No, I
Okay.
do not.
So probably 7 times over 3 years. And I would ask another question. If the homeless broke into the dairy next door, lit that on fire, would you condemn it right away?
I don't condemn properties.
Any other witnesses for the city?
Mr. Warner? Call Tim Warner. Sir, if you could identify yourself to the board and your position with the city?
Tim Warner, city engineer for the city of Michigan City.
And are you familiar with the property at 1605 Franklin Street?
I am familiar with the address and I'm only familiar with what I can see through the front windows of the building.
Okay. And well, tell us what you've seen and what your opinion based upon those observations are.
It was probably the first Saturday of June. I was walking back from the farmer's market. That's the first time I encountered 1605 Franklin, the issues there. I was walking by and I could see daylight through the windows on the street. And I stopped and looked down through the windows and I could see that there was no floor in the building. Everything, there was drywall and things that looked like it had been stacked on the floor, had fallen down into the basement. And I was a bit concerned for the safety of anybody walking by that the facade of the building might fall forward towards Franklin Street.
Okay. And you've not had the ability to go inside the property, correct?
I have not, no.
Would you go inside it?
I would not, no. There's
Okay.
nothing to go inside.
All right. And it drew your attention. So, and you've not been able to go inside, but you had concerns that this could be a public safety issue should the building continue to collapse in on itself, basically.
Yes, I brought that up to the building department, Sue and others in the building department, that I thought things need to be inspected and that wall needed to be taken down.
Okay.
Front wall facing Franklin.
Okay. And just based upon, again, these observations from the outside, are you in agreement that this building should be demolished?
I would love for it not to be, but with the way I see the facade not being supported anywhere with any framing work inside, I would say yes.
Now, it does appear that there is a large structural steel beam that runs across the top of where the roof used to be.
Yeah, I didn't see that when I looked through it. It may be there.
But you have concerns just, again, for public safety, if the facade were to fall outward towards Franklin Street or
Yeah.
or in on itself.
Yeah, right now it looks like it leans in towards the building a little bit, the top floor. But I have no dimensions or any measurements to verify that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Graff, you have any questions for Mr. Warner?
So Tim, thank you for stating basically the same thing that you stated in the meeting that we had. The extent of your inspection has been to walk by and look through the windows. And you did say, in addition, when we met, that you also went around back, which I understand. Are you aware that I'm not trying to save the building, but only the facade?
I'm not sure what your work is. I haven't seen any plans, so I can't say for sure, but I know there's not much building to save, but I do love that facade on Franklin Street.
Thank you. And why do you think, if I had the building for 3 years with multiple visits from Sue, that she never recommended for you to come out and take an evaluation of it to see if it should be demolished?
I only began working for the city in February last year, so I haven't been here 3 years.
So just to recap, if I had it right, unsolicited, you walk by the building, it looks scary. You decided to condemn it and send a demolition order, and then everybody in the department agreed.
It's not what he said.
I can't condemn anything or issue demolition orders.
So you told Sue and whoever gives the demolition order, I guess DeMarcus, who has no expertise, hasn't been in the building, you told him that it looks scary, and Marcus issues the demolition order. Is that the way it works? Tell me how it works, because I don't understand it.
I'm not sure how DeMarcus came up with the demolition order. I just reported what I saw to the building department, and I found out they were all aware of it.
DeMarcus, you told me on the phone you're just doing what you were told. Who told you to put the
So
demolition order
again,
in?
Mr. Warner is the witness right now.
I apologize.
That's okay.
I'll ask DeMarcus later.
All right. Any other witnesses from the city?
No, Attorney LePage, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wendy Vacher, Public Works Director. Thank you for giving me a few minutes, and I think I'm probably the last witness, which will be a good handoff to what will come next. I've been in my position since February of this year, and this structure in this building has been talked about since I arrived, out of concern and out of interest. It's a really the craft area next door is interesting. And as someone who also supports the Historic Preservation Commission, I too am very interested in historic buildings. But at the same time, as mentioned by Mr. Klavik, we do have an unsafe building law, and I take it very seriously. And we have other structures that we'll be bringing up as well, but just not today. So after and I did support the demolition order, so you can look to me for that. And we are here today because of that. We did meet with Mr. Graff at his request on the 29th of July, and I appreciate that. He has been very communicative and trying to come to us to talk about the structure. I think that is a plus. And at the meeting on the 29th, it was myself, DeMarcus, City Engineer Warner, and Sue from the building department, as well as Mr. Graff. And I just want to talk about that a little bit because I thought that meeting was a very good meeting. I think we hashed out a lot of details. We can agree to disagree on certain aspects of may have what had been understood. But what was understood at that meeting was we at the city are very concerned about public safety associated with the building. Yes, I think it is clear that the building does have a steel interior structure. Honestly, it's probably the only reason it's standing. I say that as someone who has worked in engineering and design for 30 years and spent a lot of time around buildings. So that's why it is sturdy. And yes, Mr. Graff was very clear that his intention is to save the facade. And this is a very technical aspect of structural engineering to do facade saving. So during the conversation, I just want to tee this up. These were the things that we talked about. No, we don't want to see historic structures torn down. At the same time, we cannot allow unsafe buildings to go unchecked. So the recommendation was to follow through with the structural engineering assessment. Thought that was a good recommendation to support what Mr. Graff said that he wanted to do. That structural assessment would also lead to the plan to restore the facade facade restoration is done in various parts of this country, DC, seen it done there, New Orleans, a variety of other places, but it's a very technical plan that has to be done. So that would feed into the technical plan. To secure the building, be able to get it cleaned out, make it appropriate, have contracts, not concepts, to really come to the table with the plan and execution, including a schedule for the course to cure, because time is not on our side and time is not on the side of this building. So I just want to mention that, and I maybe tee that up as number one, to support the folks at the city who have come to the table today. I do believe they're telling the truth to the best of their ability, but to also frame up what can come next in terms of evidence to what might be done to get an adaptive reuse of this building while respecting city employees and the unsafe building law. Thank you.
Mr. Graff, do you have any questions of Ms. Fache?
I'll just say that it's not a question. I just want to let you know I appreciated the meeting. And I thought it was a positive meeting also. I'm a little disheartened at the way this thing started. I don't want that to color the way it could go going forward, but you know, I've learned to protect my integrity as a sacred thing. So when I hear things that I don't agree with, or is it my reality, then I've got to address them. So I apologize if I was a little hard on that, but that's the reason that I wanted to make sure that everybody understood the way I saw things.
Any other witnesses for the city?
No, thank you.
Mr. Graff, if you would like to present your evidence?
Okay, hopefully we can change the mood on this thing a little bit. I put a small presentation together. I was told by Skylar that I had 5 minutes. So I've just got like 12 or 13 slides. And what I wanted to do was kind of frame not only the building, but some of the vision for Mid-City as that little section of Mid-City goes, because I think it could possibly be very positive. I apologize if you don't mind, Drew, just really go back really quick. So just go back one if you don't mind. Okay, so just for clarification, I do own the dairy next door, and that's the building in question over on the right-hand side. The alleyway is a frequent place for the homeless. They go down the alleyway, and it's been sheer force of will to try to get them to stop that habit. But without a police report to tell me, even though I've begged for one, the chances are very, very strong that they light up and they smoke back there, that they set the building on fire when it happened. But for reasons I'll go into later, that really wasn't a degradation of the building. The building was already in very poor shape. In fact, I bought it with the intent to perhaps knock it down, exactly what they're asking me to do right now. But I've come full circle and I've said, you know, this thing's worth saving for a number of reasons. So, Drew, thank you. All right, so this 5-minute agenda, as I just want to give you a slight bit of history to show the significance of the building and why it's worth saving. The future state vision, so that you can see what I've got in my mind's eye and what I'm committed to improve the neighborhood and to salvage that particular storefront. The immediate plan, which is the thing that I've brought some folks to this meeting who can go into depth with all the questions that you might have about the timing and about the feasibility of what we're doing, as well as the viability of it. And then the ask, which is basically for 100 days. We can do this in 100 days, and I can salvage this for the city of Michigan City. Thanks, Drew. So just historically, this building was likely built in 1915. It doesn't have set records, but that would be Woodrow Wilson's administration. It's pre-World War I. And because of the timing, given that steel was introduced in the late 1890s, it's probably one of the first steel and brick buildings in Michigan City. It was almost over-engineered. The reason that we think, and Wendy alluded to this, that we think that there's a chance that we can save this facade and do it right is because of the steel infrastructure of this building. It is why, even with all the duress that you're going to see in some of these slides, it still stands straight up in the air. All right, and then the large internal girders, I was going to ask these guys, but I think I made the point that they haven't had internal inspections to the degree that we have. But there's a large single girder that runs from about a third of the building in the front all the way to the back. And from that, 6 individual girders tie into the sidewalls on both sides. So originally I was thinking parking lot, right? And then I got inside the building, and after we started cleaning it out and finding out what it was made of, we said, Jesus, we can save this thing. So that's what we're trying to do right now. Thank you, Drew. All right, so, and again, it's got a rich history, so I won't read this because I don't want to take up too much of your time, but just realize that this is, this was the old grocery stores that supported all of the neighborhood around Mid-City before supermarkets came into play, and then it became, a watering hole. And you can go to the next slide. And almost everybody in Michigan City has had a beer in, either the Pleasure Inn or the Oasis, or the Franklin Bar and Grill at the very end of its life. But then it fell into disrepair, and it fell into disrepair for a long time. All right. One of the reasons I bought it was because it was in disrepair, and because I'm making such an investment in the dairy next door, I wanted to own its fate, whether it's to knock it down or to improve it. So go on to the next one. So this is the things that we found when we got inside of it. First of all, the first floor construction is all 3-core brick. It's built, I was going to say brick something, but I'm going to say church. It's built very strong, and that's why the building is completely stable on the downside of it. It tapers into a 2-core brick at the top, and the steel infrastructure supports both the first floor and the second floor. It does not support the roof. Now, where I will say that the city has a legitimate concern, it's a concern that I have too. I don't share the extent of the apprehensions, but the parapet has been out in the elements for the better part of 100 years. And so there are mortar issues, there are things that have been pulled off of the parapet and so on. But I can tell you that this building is safer now than when I bought it 3 years ago, because I've taken a lot of weight out of the building. What you see on the lower right-hand side is what I started with, the back wall falling in, holes in the roof. You can see the daylight. That's what Sue saw when she first came in and we were removing the debris from the building. When we were removing the old bar, we found that somebody had driven a car in there, so we were removing bumpers. It was stuff that wasn't part of the actual, building infrastructure. We weren't demoing anything. We didn't have a sledgehammer with us. We were lifting and shifting to the outside. And then you can see the steel beams, and I got a better shot of that later, so we'll keep going. All right, so this is what I want to show you. When I hear things, and again, Marcus, I apologize. This is why my hair in the back of my neck goes up, because I've spent a lot of money and it's a lot of hard work and risk to do this kind of clean out work. And so when it's portrayed that, nothing's happening and it's not being improved, this is an improvement. And if you could take a look at the, yes.
Yeah.
I want to point at the steel beam. Can you guys see the steel beam?
Yep.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I point that out. So that steel beam that is underneath the front of the building that hasn't been cleaned out yet, that's what's supporting it, 6 of them back and forth on this thing. And that's why the thing is stable. You can notice that the front part of the roof was left. When we realized that the weather was getting into our schedule, we didn't want these guys climbing through this thing by hand in the wet, in the cold, doing the hand demo. So we left the diaphragm in the front of the building so that it remained stable and secure over the course of the winter, so that we could continue the permit in the spring. Personal reasons, I have to follow my sword on this. I started a charity out at the mall. I pulled the contractors off for the better part of the first half of the year. We knew we were going to miss the permit. We were told it was a formality to get the permit extended. We had everything lined up, including the steel infrastructure from Mr. Bode back there, who can testify that we are ready to go as early as the last week in July and first week of August. We had the containers lined up and everything else, and then I got blindsided with the demo order. All right, so and you can go further, Drew. Thank you. So again, let's talk about changing Mid-City just for a second. Because I own both buildings, and that's the architect's rendering of what we're looking to do with that facade. But because I own both buildings, it gives us a hell of a beautiful opportunity to string lights across that alleyway and to make it very, very appealing. We could do a metal arch across it, but we could make that whole corner between Ann Street and Homer an absolute gem for the city of Michigan City, especially on the approach as they go to this train station and as they go to the Uptown Arts District and so on. But the facade, if we're going to knock it down, that's fine, but it is worth saving because this is what we can do with it. This is what the architect and I have come up with. We set the bottom wall in fact, Drew, you can go to the next one. We would set the bottom wall in so that it has a porch effect and tables and chairs can be put out there. I've had preliminary discussions just today with Wendy on, the possibility of greening it up like they do Chicago. The two parking spots that are in the front, we could vacate and perhaps do some trees or some planter boxes like they do in Chicago. I'm going to add 24 parking spots to the back of the dairy because I own the 2 lots in back of it. So I'll be able to give those parking spots back to the city. So that opens up opportunities for us to make this a really beautiful corridor coming into town. And then you can see what we tried to do to modernize it. And I'll also add this, the cornice has long been torn off. It was wood rotted on the top. We can put that architectural historic element back onto the building. And when we do, with LEDs being the way they are these days, we can light that building up like a Roman candle. It could be an absolute jewel for the city of Michigan City. Okay, please. So again, that you get to see now, if you take a look at that rendering that we just had, and then the dairy, what I wanted to point out, all of the original windows are behind that aluminum siding there. All right. So when the dairy shut down back in the 60s, all right, it went to a Goodwill store or something, and then it went to John LaRocco. It was a flooring store, as you guys might know, and then a flooring warehouse in the back. The building hasn't been touched in a long time. Every inch of it needs cleaning and love and work. So I'm doing as much as I can inside that right now. But the real key that I want you to realize is, think of all the windows that you just saw in the rendering, plus the dairy lit up like a Roman candle also. It could be an absolute enhancement to the city. Okay, you can go forward. And I got ahead of myself. So the 100-day plan is what we're asking for. If you guys give me 100 days, I'll get this thing to a point where it's secure, as everybody wants it to be, that it's tuck pointed on the front, that we've done the clean out demolition, and that we've done all the proper bracing that we can't do right now because the city stopped me from doing the clean out demolition, right? We can't put the cross brace structures in there until we remove the debris to put the cross brace structures onto the girders. And then once those are done, the permanent preservation of it would be in that lower right-hand side. And that's similar to what they've done in Louisville at the Angels Envy factory. If anybody's been down there to have a drink, they had a building much bigger than this one. It's 3 stories tall. The roof fell in, brick facade wall. They salvaged it all because they put the steel infrastructure and tied it into the brickwork after they put footings. We can't do that until we get the demo done. All right. So the city stopping us for the last 3 months has delayed our ability to stabilize it, in a permanent way. Let's see what else is up there to take a look at. Well, that's just a picture of me in the dumpster that Sue was talking about when I first started. So pulling the stuff out. And the beautification is the cornice. So we'll put the LEDs in the cornice there. And then the stabilization, we have a plan. I'm going to make some introductions here in a second for folks that have been through the building, have climbed through it, like Mr. Patino. His team went through it, for the last 2 years, and this is why we have the confidence. But we can go to the next slide, Drew. Thank you. All right, so this is the ask, and I apologize for the summary. It didn't show that way up on my screen, so just look past that. If you can give me 100 days, let me demo it as we had scheduled. All right, let us brace the internal walls and let us secure the front facade. Like I said, I do share the city's apprehensions on that. One of the things that we asked to do is to also vacate the sidewalk, not vacate, to temporarily, what's the right word, to block? Temporary closure of the sidewalk. And what our idea is to use the scaffolding that we're going to use for tuck pointing the front, as well as adding the cornice. But we'll use the scaffolding to also secure the front facade of the building so that any security or safety concerns about the building falling in, like Mr. Werner mentioned, we can mitigate those. All right, we can make it safe. And it also gives us access because the front of the building, as Sue knows, because again, I didn't ask for a permit. But I put a garage, when we were doing the initial demo, when I first bought the building, I put a garage door in the front, not knowing it was against code because I saw that Breland Hervey had one, so I didn't figure it was a big deal. So they shut me down on the garage door and we put plywood over it and it looks like hell, but we would open it up and that's where we take a skid steer in and pull all the stuff from the basement we've been dropping down from the hands demo. So that's essentially what, and if you, like I said, if you give me the 100 days and the folks that I'm going to have to testify in front of you, will hopefully give you confidence that the feasibility, the timeline, all the things that I just represented are reality. Certainly they're more than possible. They're plausible. They're what we can do, what we are confident that we can represent here today. And if you go one more. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I was hoping just to go through this presentation. And again, I apologize. It started off on a rough note. The folks that I want to introduce, and the only person that I'll have come up and speak, the other 2 guys are resources for you for in-depth questions. But Jeff Wright is a structural engineer that at the city's suggestion we brought in, and I'd like him to provide his report. Mr. Fernando Patino is he's the contractor that did the clean out demo so far. So just in terms of his credentials, so he doesn't have to boast about himself. With the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, his demolition experience, he was the 2011-12 Contractor Recognition Award given by Michelle Murdy, the Deputy Director of ITEM. And then the Better Business Bureau 2023 and 2024. I won the Torch Award for Ethical Conduct and Commitment to Trust. In 2025, he won the Sparks Award, or actually he was a runner-up for Ethical Practices in Community. And just this year, he's been noted as a Platinum Star Award winner by Lowe's. He's the #1 installer for Lowe's in Northwest Indiana. He's the #1 installer in DuPage and Cook County. And for Menards, in 2025, he won the #1 Commercial General Contractor Award. So he, not only in my experience is he very qualified to do this work, but he has accolades outside of my sphere with him. And then Mr. Vode is the last person I'll introduce. He is the gentleman I contracted with to do the steel infrastructure. All right, so before we got shut down, Mr. Vode is the one fabricating the internal skeleton that I showed you on that other picture from Angel's Envy. And he can testify to the fact that we've got plenty of time to fabricate what we need to fabricate, get these walls shored up correctly, and then shut the building down until I get an architect to do a design. And I got to get capital, and I've got to get partners and all kinds of other fun stuff. But first things first, let's save the facade, let's get it secure, safe, dry, and go from there. So that's our ask. And with that, I'll pass the baton to.
Just 1 minute. Does
Yes,
the
ma'am.
petitioner have any questions of Mr. Graff?
I guess I would have just one question, that being if 100 days to, I guess, make this structurally safe, and so it's no longer a public safety issue, then what's the timeline after that to, I guess, kind of finish your proposal, or is it just going to sit there as an empty
Well,
frame for?
so it's going to sit there empty until I can do it. So I have a timeline. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a young man, so I'd like to do it, relatively soon. But do I have a plan going forward for the build out? I don't even have an architectural design yet, and we still have a market that needs to be developed with the 200 apartments over the train station. What I'm committing to this group to do is to mitigate all these safety concerns that these folks have. And again, I share some on the parapet. I do. I always look like, and I've asked, Fernando 100 times, are we sure that there's not a brick that's going to fall out of that thing and hit somebody in the head in the sidewalk? And he said, I've climbed through it, everything's secure. I said, all right, that's, but what I inherited was a demo. And what I'm trying to do is preserve it. And when I preserve it, I'll beautify it. So we'll light it up. I'll come to you guys for a $35,000 facade grant, and maybe we can get the windows in a lot quicker, and a few other things. But the net of it is it's going to be 100% better looking than it is now. And you guys know that if I put all the money in to do this, because look, these guys are doing me a favor. I mean, a sane man would knock the thing down and make it a parking lot right next door, right? I mean, but the building's too cool and it's stable, and there's a lot of.
Any additional questions?
I don't have any. Thank you.
Please.
Bye.
So, and this isn't a follow-up to my comments, so just a couple of quick questions. The folks that you have on your team are under contract, and you have a scope, a budget, and a signed contract for them to do this work?
Technically, no, but I'll let them talk.
Them speak to that?
Yes.
Okay. And that was one of my concerns, to demonstrate concept into actual action. So I'll ask if you do speak, if you could speak to that. And the rest I'll leave. Thank you.
Thank you. So Wendy gave me some great advice, which I didn't follow, which was to put a schedule together. The reason is it's because of 100 days. There's some things that have to be done sequentially, like the clean out. If I did a schedule, it would basically have 4 bullet points, right? We got to do the clean out. We got to get the scaffolding up and get the tuck pointing done. We put the braces in, and then we put the footings in after everything's cleaned out, and we put the permanent, reinforcement for the structure. After that, by the way, not within the 100 days, it's in our best interest to make it dry. All right, so we were gonna put a temporary roof on it to make sure that the elements don't get in and erode any of the hard work that we've done to stabilize the building. So we're gonna make it dry, but that roof won't be the roof, all right? The roof that we're looking for is that dome, that you saw, and we'll start working on the designs for that. And that'll probably be the next phase, that we do. And the reason is I can't attract a partner or a tenant, unless I make that building attractive, right? So it's not in my best interest, especially with the dairy next door, to have that thing sitting vacant forever. My intent is to get it filled. All right. It's just what I'm asking for here is 100 days to preserve the facade. Thank you, Wendy.
And Mr. Graff, would you like to call your next witness?
If Jeff's ready. So Jeff Wright is the structural engineer that we've engaged. Thank you, Jeff.
Jeff Wright, 652 Quail Ridge Road, LaPorte, Indiana. And I'm an engineer. And I have some handouts. May I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Graff, would you like me to just mark this as
Thank
like an exhibit? Are you formally entering this as an exhibit?
Yes.
Okay. I'll mark as respondents exhibit A.
Again, my name's Jeff Wright. And
do you need one?
I'm afraid my presentation will be a little bit less lackluster than the presentation put on by Mr. Graff. Sometimes when you start talking about engineering and concepts, eyes tend to glaze over and, loss of interest ensues. But I've been an engineer coming up on 40 years, about 15 years as a civil engineer, 25 years as a structural engineer. And I've absolutely found this hearing interesting. The financial aspects, the historical aspects, those are all very interesting, but really have nothing to do with me. My tasking was to evaluate the structure and determine if the structure is sufficient and adequate enough to be able to put bracing in to stabilize the walls and be able to preserve the facade. And so the brief answer to that question is yes. There's plenty of structure there now between the steel beam running east and west and all the laterals going north and south, bracing up to this second floor. The portion that's not braced right now is from the second floor up because portions of the roof have been taken down. So on one hand, the city wants to protect people, and I fully get that, so stop the job, but that kind of hurt the job in the long run because they couldn't put bracing up there. Made things a little bit worse, a little bit less safe. And and so the concept is just basically there's an interior steel frame that can be used to put braces to brace the remaining portions of the unbraced walls, masonry walls above. And I agree. When you look in the front window, it's nasty. It's nasty in there. But I was able to get in there and take a look around. And the walls, the masonry walls are generally true, generally plumb. The parapet may be leaning just a little bit, but tuck pointing, bracing, and a little bit of stabilization handles that. And once it's cleared out and you go take another look at it, you'll go, yeah, we should have saved this and we could save this. But at this point in time, it's nasty. For lack of a better term, it's just nasty in there, and it needs to get cleaned out. a lot of people interested in public safety, and I'm here, I get it. That's my job as well as as well as the folks at the city. And in fact, I sign a paper every 2 years that say, yeah, we'll put public safety first as a professional engineer. Like I said, I've been an engineer for 40 years. I've been registered in up to 15 states across the country. The building, there was a building there in LaPorte that collapsed. It fell down. City called, come take a look. We looked at that building, and the bowing and the leaning of those walls doesn't even compare to the minor leaning that's on these walls. They're bowed, they're leaning in. And so we put up some braces, and that building sat there for close to 18 months, waiting for new plans to be drawn because it collapsed. Investors, insurance things, all that stuff comes into play, and it takes time to make that happen. So the short answer is, can it be braced and stabilized? The answer to that question is yes, absolutely. There's absolutely no reason in this world you can't brace that building and have it stand up. It stood most of the winter, as I understand, in its unbraced condition. So, and I hear a lot of people saying, well, we don't want to tear it down. We don't want to don't. Brace it, clean it out, and proceed with the vision. So that's my short little presentation. I'll entertain any questions from the board or the folks.
Commissioner, have any questions on Mr. Wright?
I don't have any bid.
Go ahead.
Wendy?
Thank you, Mr. Wright. I very much appreciate that. I think that I'm sure Mr. Warner is glad to hear a structural engineer report as well. We've been waiting for you, sir. Let me ask this. Have you conferred with Mr. Vode and his bracing system? Have you two been able to talk about your findings and how his system will tie into your findings?
In the most basic concepts, yes. In the most basic. My tasking was to evaluate the structure and can it be braced and supported and maintained in a safe fashion. And the short answer to that question is yes. And that did involve some brief concepts of how to go about the bracing, but I have not been engaged to design the bracing. I don't even think I would design the bracing. Bracing typically comes as a means and methods from the contractor. That's a temporary. Architects put together final products, engineers put together final products, and it's up to the contractor to provide means and methods to achieve that vision.
Ms. Fisher, any other questions?
And thank you very much. That's helpful. My final question is, any interaction between your work and the temporary roof structure?
Well, let me just think for a second to make sure I understand your question. The process, as I understand, will be cleaning out the structure, putting up the braces to brace it. So I'm assuming that there will be a period of time between the bracing and the temporary roof. Once the temporary roof is on, you're home free. It will brace even more than the bracing the temporary bracing up there.
Thank you. That answered.
Yeah.
Nothing. Mr. Graff, any other witnesses?
So I'd ask the board just to think about any particular questions they have about the realism of the 100-day plan. The two people that are in this room that are most knowledgeable about the building and that are most integral to the success of that 100-day plan are Mr. Patino and Mr. Vode.
Would you
So
like to call them up
everybody wants
and
to
then the
ask.
board can ask with yourself any additional questions, so the board can ask that?
Is that a question to us or to Mr. Graff?
Yeah, that was a question, Mr. Graff. Would you like them to come up if the board has any questions? Yes.
I think the answer was yes. I heard a yes. So we'll go ahead and get you guys up here. Yeah, just in case. Yeah. We're not scary, I promise.
I'm not scared.
Just identify yourselves for
Hi,
the
I'm
record.
John Bode, Precision Maintenance. I live in Chesterton. No, I live in Valparaiso now. I have a house in Chesterton as well. But I've been doing this for 34 years. I've built out a lot of different restaurants, hotels, and other commercial buildings in Chicago, specifically through the Fulton Market area, the stockyards, and the new West Loop. We've done numerous restaurants which required the same kind of build out, structural support, and we use a lot of different systems. Now, I don't always design the systems. Sometimes the systems are done with like maybe a stiff or rigid pin connection system with angle iron and square tubing or I-beams, and sometimes it's just done with plates and cable. We've held together a building literally with a steel cable around the whole perimeter, and it worked wonderfully. So the systems are going to vary, and we don't have a plan that's like specific for this until we get it cleaned out. Now, I do have an idea, and I put some conceptual sketches together for them to review, and I think they agree with that's probably the way we're going to go, but we won't really know until it's cleaned out and we could actually see what we're up against.
So you've done some historic older buildings like this. Is this the worst you've seen?
Oh, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Well, I will tell you, there's one in Fulton Market where they took all the steel out as well. It was literally just brick, and it was probably, I want to say 45 foot by 35 foot. And the only thing holding this together was gravity. And we, yeah, it was a big boo-boo. And when we walked in there, it was like, that's not good. So yeah, we figured it out and got it done. And now, right now, I think that is a restaurant called, no, it's a hotel called the Hoxton.
Okay.
Of course, it tore down most of it, but you know, there's some remnants of that still.
Ms. Smith.
So my question is really, within 100 days, what does securing the building and the safety of the building look like? Because what you're describing needs to come after the 100 days, right?
No, they'll be done
No.
within there. Yeah, the cleanup's the biggest part. That's gonna be, it doesn't take long to fabricate this stuff. Most of the items are pretty small.
So how is the building gonna be secure in 100 days?
Over the 100, like over the 100?
Over the 100
Yes,
period, 100-day period of time. The way
What does that look like is my question.
yeah, but the way I envision it is as Fernando's crew gets in there and cleans it out, and we do another assessment of what we have structurally, we'll then make an assessment of what connection plates we're gonna use to the top parapet wall and what kind of material we're able to use. We may not be able to go with something as heavy as I'm envisioning now because of the integrity of it. But either way, we'll make that determination, probably with the help of our engineering and our architect, probably some sort, because we may want to integrate it into the final system instead of taking it down and throwing it away. So if we can use something that's a little bit more decorative or a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and still provide that structural support, we'll install that through a series of mounting plates around the perimeter and then diagonally come back at a 45-degree angle to the structure to hold that up. At that point, my vision is to put the structure in place for the temporary roof and then fight with Fernando about when the floors are going in, because there's where we're gonna have that.
Mr. Graff, did you have questions of your witness?
May I answer also?
Mr. Graff, you can jump in anytime. Yeah, you don't have to raise your hand. It's your hearing.
So that's a really good question. So right now, the entire front of the building, and it's been this way for years, is a 2x4s and a lap board facade. It is an optical illusion that building has a wall. All right, and that's why if you on the new design that we have, we're actually using that to our advantage, because that whole wall comes out, it becomes glass. It would be stunning, but we can do that because the front of the building is supported by 3 cast iron posts and then a brick column on the other side. We don't know if there's a cast iron post within the brick. I suspect that there is, but that's what's holding up the header, which holds up the entire second floor. So to answer your question, all of the temporary wall that's in there right now, we'll pull it out and we'll build something better, but it won't have doors. because we're not ready, right? That's going to be another phase. So we'll have a front to it. And again, it's going to be a lot more beautiful because we'll have the cornice with the lights and everything else. And we can do upstairs windows and make that nice too, but it will be secure.
Ms. Bashir, did you have questions of the witness?
Mr. Vogt, thank you. Very interesting systems. My question is, who will be doing the design? So, and because you aren't necessarily going to do the design, or you don't know yet?
Don't know yet.
Okay, so I would say to Mr. Graff, have you identified who will be doing the design?
It would be these two guys in collaboration with Tom Babrick, the architect, and an engineer.
Yeah, you gotta get in the microphone.
Sorry, guys. So John and Fernando have practical knowledge, and as they've already said, we have to see what we have to work with, right? We think this steel beams are going to be fine for the X bracing. There's X bracing, that's the temporary bracing. When we get into pouring the footings, there are certain regulations that we have to follow. How deep are the footings need to be? So 6 feet or something like that. So 6 feet on the footings that we'll have to pour, but we're not down to the ground yet. I know that one half of the building, because I've climbed through it, over the last 3 years, one half of it, the basement is a brick foundation, and the other half is sand. So they never bricked in the other half. The half that's sand is going to be pretty easy. We just go down unless there's some type of, slab down there that we don't know about. But the rest of it, as John said, we have multiple options. We could bolt. I know what they did at Angels Envy in Louisville is it's an adhesive. They actually vice the thing into the brick, and they put like an industrial adhesive to it, and that's what holds it. And it works out great. So we'll have to figure that out, but I guarantee you that we'll do it right. I mean, I have every incentive in the world to do it right.
Yeah, and like he said before the mic, between Fernando and myself, and then with the help of the architect and possibly an engineer, the final design will be put together. And it will be with the intention to keep as much there as we can, so we don't waste money and have to do it over again. That makes sense.
Mr. Graff, did you have any additional witnesses?
I'll ask my witness here something in front of you guys. So
Can you have him come to the microphone and identify himself, please?
Hello, everybody. I'm Fernando Patino. I'm the owner of Undefeated Construction here in Michigan City.
So, Fernando, are you 100% confident that we can complete the clean out demo and expose all of the steel and get the bracing up in 100 days?
Yes. When can we start? Just like that?
Yeah.
Just like that? Yes, sir.
Would there be, can I ask our building commissioner a question?
Can
Am I able to do that?
you let them present their case?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did you have any questions for him? No, okay. Any other evidence, Mr. Graff? Okay. Did you have an additional question?
Stu, can I ask you a question real quick? So as the building commissioner, if this was to be completed, brought you plans, a set of plans, things of that nature, do you feel that you could review these, or would you need them to bring on a structural engineer to kind of help review these? Can you give me some insight into what you think if this was an option? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but
No, that's fine, but I would probably reach out to someone like Tim and ask for his advice on it as well. But review wouldn't be.
Would you expect some benchmarks in this? Footings? I'm sure I know you love to look at footings.
I would expect that to be, and I guess what's disappointing for me here is things like this have been asked.
I know. I know.
And I'm sad that we're at this point.
I agree.
I'm just, it's unfortunate.
Okay, but you had a specific question.
Yeah.
That, so I wish we weren't here, but now that we are, we would have to have some form of a plan. I mean, real plans, real structural evaluation, not concepts.
Yes, and there would be some benchmarks that you would want to see in there. Okay.
Yep.
But you think that this is something you could review with the help of, having some benchmarks in there and having some, maybe some more information, if you will, with respect to how it's installed and things of that nature?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So unless the board has any additional questions, I'd let petitioner make final closing. You're good? Respondent, any final closing remarks?
Oh, hold up.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I have, that's okay. I have just a couple questions. When did you make contact with all of these individuals to put this together? How long ago did that happen?
Well, so Mr. Patino and I have been working together for over 2.5 years. We've completely renovated a house on Homer Street, and he was the gentleman that, and by the way, when I won't go into the litany of contact and correspondence and dialogue that I've had with the planning department, but there's been a lot of requirements that have been made, and I've tried to fulfill all of those requirements over the last 3 years. But Mr. Patino, after I've contacted several demolition companies to try to clean this thing out, was the one that was recommended to me. And he's the one that, again, did the not the temporary permit, the clean out permit that we had last year. So I've been working, like I said, with Fernando for a couple of years. Mr. Vogt I've known for over a year, and we've been talking about this project. Mr. Vogt, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, but he also has an interest in perhaps investing in Michigan City. So this is something that has a keen interest to him. And we've been talking about the endoskeleton of this thing for the better part of a year now.
One more question.
I mean, I have a proposal. I did not sign the contract yet, but I had the proposal from Mr. Vogt for the infrastructure already ready to go. Again, we were under the impression, whether it's a miscommunication or I'm going crazy or whatever, but we were under the impression that the clean out permit was going to be extended. All right. That's why I was surprised by the demolition order. And Mr. Vogt was and I were in discussion for the infrastructure costs before then.
I have a couple more questions for you. Sorry. Just for a little bit of background information for me. You own other property in Michigan City, a lot of businesses, buildings.
I don't own, I wouldn't call it a lot of property. What I've done is, without going into long explanation, my grandfather had a dairy on Michigan Boulevard when he came to the United States from Germany. It lasted in the 40s and closed up, I think, in like 49 or something like that. That building's long since been torn down. But because of that dairy, I'm in the grocery industry in my career, and I was writing articles on the grocery industry, and I showcased the Scholl dairy bottle. All right. So a few years ago, I contacted Joe LaRocco, and I was trying to preserve the bottle for Michigan City. I had an agreement with Dwayne Perry to maybe put that up on a pike in, a park somewhere like Art. And John didn't want to sell it. And so what happened was, over the course of a 6-month period, we agreed that I would buy the building. My mother's 97. She lives in Michigan City in the house that I grew up in Edgewood. And I split time between New Orleans, New Jersey, and Michigan City now. It's a long story. So what I've been doing over the course of the last 2 years, knowing that my investment in that dairy is going to be a focus of the next decade for me, is I've been taking distressed properties, buying them and improving them. So I own the property at 112 Homer, which was a complete ground up rehab that Mr. Patino did. We completely replaced the porch on 110 Ann Street, which was falling apart and in disrepair. That house needs a lot more work, but we have renters in there, and so we don't want to disturb them. So we're doing things at a pace that is comfortable for them. And then I also bought a house on Washington Street on the back side of the dairy, because if the dairy ends up being a viable business, and again, I have to attract partners, there's a lot of dominoes that have to fall. But that business is going to generate traffic and perhaps noise. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was mitigate any impact on the neighborhood. So by improving these properties and taking possession of them, I have a better chance of not impacting anybody else that might be there and have a complaint with the new businesses that are going in.
Thank you. And one last question. You indicated that you need to get investors for the next stage. Do you have funding in place for all of these people right now?
For the 100-day plan to get this thing secure, yes, I'm coming to you without need to go to a bank or get bonded or anything else. I've got the money. What they were proposing actually is less money, right? Knocking it down and filling the hole is a lot easier than doing a clean out demolition, shoring it up, securing it, putting a cordis on, all that other stuff. So I'm ready to go with this phase. After that, I have many priorities, right? The dairy is a priority, and so on. And I'm not made of money, and I'm not a corporation. But I have enough resources that right now I have zero debt on all these properties that I've talked to you about. Thank you.
Ms. Smith, you had some questions you would like to get answered?
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
Ms. Tisdale. Mr. Simmons? Do you have any questions you would like to get answered?
It bothers.
Yeah.
It bothers me that we're at this point. And I'm hearing this building is unsecure right now, no floor, and the back is wide open. I don't feel good about the secure part of this right now.
This is why my reaction was so vehement to Mr. DeMarcus and Sue and so on, because they've given you a misimpression. The building is secure. The fact that it's been broken into is not a reflection of its security. They could have broken into Footlight Theater just as easy as they broke into my building. They could have lit my dairy on fire just as easy as they lit this building on fire. All right, this building, yeah, it doesn't have a floor because we're cleaning it out. It doesn't have a roof either. One of the reasons it looks so scary to Mr. Werner and it's different than it looked, last year was because we've cleaned out 2/3 of the roof already. So you can see the light through the front of the windows now. But I don't want you to have the impression that the building is any less secure than the tattoo parlor next door, which by the way, I didn't mention it, but Kenny Smith is agreeing with no problems on getting a temporary closure of the sidewalk. So he has a business that's accessed by Ann Street, and he has a parking spot in front of his business. So I will walk you back there personally, but please don't leave the meeting thinking that building is insecure. Nothing is secure. All right. I mean, they could break into my dairy by busting a window. All right. This thing has locks on it. We've got plywood on the front. If they rip the plywood off, there's not much I can do. They're going to rip it off, and that's them.
Okay, so one more. Mr. Graff, one more question. What are you going to do with the basement? So you save this facade. Are you going to backfill it until you find someone to take on the building? Are you going to backfill up or anything like that?
No, I don't want to do that because I think the basements can be utilized. I don't know if we'll have like a viable business in the basement. There's areas that if we wanted to do some type of
No, I meant like just temporarily from the standpoint if the facade's saved, then you got a big hole in the ground.
Yes,
Then
yes.
it's probably a 12-foot hole in the ground.
That's a good point.
And water and et cetera, things of that nature.
But the building, I disagree that it's a fire hazard. If anything, it's waterlogged, right now, but there's that's a good point. And what I can commit to do, Fernando, is we can build, say, a 10-foot platform off the front facade and just secure it with a rail or something so that if anybody does break into my building, then, at least they have a fighting chance and not, before they light it on fire again before killing themselves. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any final statements from petitioner?
So again, Wendy Vacher, Public Works Director. I do want to thank everybody. It's been a long evening. I understand that. And these are really complicated issues and they can get very emotional. And I want to thank Mr. Graff and his team for coming too. But I want to say this, I do support the actions that we've taken. I support the building department, the city engineer, the Sue and the commissioner and DeMarcus. We are doing our very best to use the unsafe building law as it was intended to keep people safe. And so I think that, being here today was something we had to do. It is regretful that it comes to this point, but I think it's also speaks to Mr. Graff that he has, at least with the aspects of the things that we talked about, come with a plan. I'm glad to hear about the financial statement. We need to get through this. And so I think it's a matter of commitment. And maybe we can get there but it's got to be on time, it's got to be on schedule, and it all has to be met, and it has to be detailed. And I think that's where we're at. And if it does not, we will be back asking to continue. So those are my statements, and I appreciate Attorney Beal helping us through this, and Attorney LePage. Thank you.
Mr. Graff, any final statements?
Despite the friction that we had here, I've worked with Sue for 3 years on this thing now. So I have a great deal of respect for what they're trying to accomplish in terms of safety. And I want to extend my thanks to Wendy. Where'd she go? Okay. Wendy suggested that we have a pre-meeting so that they could coach me. That, I took some of that coaching, some of it I didn't, but I did appreciate the effort and the education that I got and the courtesy of all of them taking time out of their day and giving me some time before this hearing. So thank you.
Turn it back over to you, Mr. President.
May I ask you a question? There's no public comment on this or anything like that?
Administrative hearing, so I would not say that you would allow public comment for an
Just
administrative.
making sure that I'm following the rules. And then, can you remind us what our actions would be today?
So, I know that I've heard requests for continuances, so if the board wanted to grant a request for a continuance, that's one possible. But the board couldn't affirm the order to demolish. They could reverse the order to demolish, or they could modify and with something that's less stringent.
Is take under advisement still an option?
You could still take it under advisement and render a decision on any of those options at your next meeting.
Yes. Yes.
It's still on hold if it's under advisement, yes.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I would. I really feel as a board, we're missing some information from our code enforcement. So I would like to get some of that information. So I make a motion that we take this under advisement and render a decision at our September 2nd meeting.
May I comment?
Not yet. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Mrs. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
I'll vote aye too, but I do want to make a decision at our September 2nd meeting, and I feel we owe Mr. Graff that, so that whether it's starting that 100-day period or upholding the demolition, I do think he's owed that. So.
I agree.
Comment now?
No, I don't think there's any comments right now.
It's up to you.
No.
It's on you.
Yeah. Let's just leave it where it is for now.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.